Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe, Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther III, and today, Ringside crew, it's November 8th. It's the final show, set of shows that we will be airing here on Joe Panther Variety Show for Dudes at Ringside. Not over, just like the final set for the year 2024. But today I have a young lady that is absolutely blazing a trail for herself. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome to Sheeva. Welcome to Dudes at Ringside, Sheeva. Welcome.
Thank you, Joe. I really do appreciate it.
Awesome.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. So if my fans from the tri-state area where I live in Pennsylvania. So the tri-state area, if they're not familiar with you and your name, and what would they not be? Introduce yourself.
So I am Sheeva. I am the goddess of destruction. So I am found located in Texas. I wrestle all across the Mid-South. I have traveled much further outside of that, but in recent times, it's been pretty local to Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, really hardcore in the indie scene. I can be seen on YouTube, Title Match. Um, eh, Literally, if there's a wrestling platform out there, obviously I'm not signed. I'm an independent contractor, so you can easily find me. Just Google the name Sheeva.
Awesome. So who got you into the business? Like, what made you become a professional wrestler?
So I actually started much later than most. I went to an independent professional show in Arlington, Texas, with a very good friend of mine. She was dating a wrestler at the time and had gone to this show, and I have been always super active. I was a cheerleader, I played soccer, I was in musicals, drama, things along that nature. I've always been very artistic. And I was watching this acrobatic fight scene essentially, and I have a background in martial arts, and I was just enthralled. And I literally turned to her after watching a match, which was Robert Evans versus Ryan Davidson.
Mm.
And I go, I could do this. I want to do this. And pretty much the rest is history. I went through a couple different wrestling schools. It wasn't as predominant as they are nowadays. And worked my way through everything, trained, and here I am today, almost 17 years later.
Wow. So was it harder or easier to find like a school? Because nowadays you could just Google wrestling schools and they just pop right up on your. Was it when you started to look for this school? Did you have something to look for, or did you know where you wanted to start?
So it was much different back then. It wasn't as simple as a Google search. At the time, the pro wrestling school that was local to there was on its way out. They actually switched over to MMA, and it became much more difficult. So I had trained there. I also trained at another location, and then I had finished off my training with actually, he is no longer with us, but with Michael Faith, who, definitely had a lot of different wrestlers basically influencing my training overall. Um, Being able to have access to a WWE legend such as Vader, who he worked with pretty exclusively with All Japan Pro Wrestling, and people local. There was a young gentleman who I will never forget. I learned so much from him, Rex Reed. Uh, he was a huge factor. He was only there a handful of times, but man, he really did. He made it make sense. So for me, everything needs to make sense. Like make it make sense. And if it wasn't for um, I think it was always right place, right time. Timing was everything. But we didn't have social media like we do today. It wasn't as simple as, hey, let me look up a pro wrestling school. Nowadays, you can totally do that. There's one at every corner. So if you want to be a pro wrestler, that is your dream. That's what you aspire to do. I say go out and do it. I definitely recommend hitting the gym a few times first because you're going to be getting that work in.
So, what was the most difficult part when you first stepped through the doors of the training facility you went to?
You know, I I was very athletic, especially when I first started and broke in. I was very strong. I was very athletic. My challenges were more personal based. So I had a very young toddler. She wasn't even 2 yet, and so trying to juggle being a young single mom as well as trying to learn how to wrestle, and I'm doing this 5, 6 days a week. I had to get pretty creative. So, luckily, especially when I was training with Michael Faith, um, he absolutely loved the fact that my daughter loved wrestling and she was so enthralled with what we were doing. And she watched it like young kids watch Bluey. She just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And the only thing is that she had to wait till the end of the night before she can run the ropes. And she
Hmm,
would hit the ropes like a little toddler and she would boom, 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 boom until she was worn out and then she'd fall asleep on the way home. And that was that.
awesome. So, let's go a little further in. What was your energy like the first time you were actually in a like? Which would you say was more the uh the eye-opening moment for you? Your first, like, experience doing a match, or, like, like, you could say, like, the first match or the first test run match? Which one was the first eye-opening for you when you like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get my first shot?"
Mm. Do you mean in the sense of um like this is this is real now? Is that what you're trying to convey?
Yeah, you're like, 'cause
Okay.
sometimes, like, with indie promotions, they'll give you, like, a dark match first,
Uh-huh.
and then a few months later, they'll actually give you the actual card match against, like, a person that could be in the women's division, like, in the number 1 contender spot, you know what I mean? Like,
Wasn't like
which
that back then.
Oh, okay. I'm 41, I know
Wasn't.
about the old indies too, so
Yeah, the old indies, there weren't enough females, man. We got thrown into it. Couple months of training, you're in a match. And that's pretty much it. And that's how it went. And let me tell you, my first few matches were awful.
Mhm,
They were awful. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand psychology. I knew the moves. I was athletic. I can definitely fake it till I make it, but I really didn't grasp like what wrestling was, and that took me a while to really get. I'm not so ego filled that oh yeah, I was amazing from the get go. No, no, I wasn't. um, Sarah Frost, Sarah Connor, Kira Maya, Shiva. I have gone by several names in my day. I can tell you Shiva is probably the best version of me, as we should always evolve and become better throughout time. But no, it was atrocious to be honest with you. I mean, it
mhm.
wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. They were very basic, simple matches. I remember doing the matches and being like, like I should have been able to do better. Like it's just the dynamic just gets different on the different levels that you're on. And I remember those feelings in the very beginning were so intense. I was so nervous about messing up. And there's so many things that I can look at now and go, oh, facials, ring positioning, and like really nitpick and tear it apart. But I know that everybody has to start somewhere. And, I'm still thankful for where I did start. So
So when you finally got your match, did you still feel like there was a long journey to get where you are now?
absolutely not. I didn't then. I thought man, that was made. I had my matches. I was ready. I was fired up. I was like, I'm good, right? I'm good. I wasn't good, but I had that confidence. I had that ego. I, I definitely needed to be stampered down a few pegs. Um, and I was, I got humbled real quick. But I was ready. I was eager. I was hungry, and I still am to this day. I just have a different approach towards it.
Hmm. So was there any, I would say, like, low point in your career that you want to talk about today that hit you in a place that you're like, oh no, this may give me a step back?
I had plenty of low points. There was a point in time where I pretty much got blackballed by the entire state of Texas, and Texas is a pretty big state. Um, and no real reason other than people's feelings getting involved where they shouldn't. I worked for, a company called River City Wrestling, and because I worked for this company, I couldn't work for this company, or this company territory kind of thing.
Mm,
And everybody just felt some type of way about it, which was absolutely ridiculous. I think my perspective is that you should go out, you should learn, you should definitely make your mark everywhere. If you're able to pull from different fan bases amongst other shows that are local, then that should be beneficial in the long run, as long as you're not ruining storylines or what somebody is investing into you. Um, I have dealt with, I'm kind of dubbed as like the queen of uh injuries. I've suffered quite a few injuries in wrestling. Goes kind of back to that not really having a very solid foundation. Um, Getting thrown into things very quickly. I've gone through 8 major surgeries in total, two partial knee replacements.
mm,
And I don't regret that at all. Uh, it sucks, but I am healthy. I'm happy. I've had complications that have arisen from these surgeries. However, I was able to overcome them, and low points will happen with anything in life, and you could go through a breakup. You could go through you have a car wreck and you think the world is going to end, or you lose your job, and with times that they are right now, I just say persevere. Like, are there times that I've been down? I can name 1,000, but I obviously didn't let it hold me down.
when you said you had your like knee replacement, like, if you want to get into that, like, how long did it take you to get back to like a regular right training schedule?
So the first one that I had 2 medial replacements. Basically, what had happened was the meniscus became so shredded, there was no coming back.
Mm,
They could do cadavers, but cadavers don't hold very well. Um, and some do have some success with it, but I had had so many ACL replacements. ACL, man, professional wrestling is really good about eating ACLs. Um, and I was very acrobatic in the beginning, so I would do lion salts and moon salts and all sorts of fun jazz. And it really did take its toll in the long run. But the first one, I gave up. I literally gave up, Joe, to be very transparent. What had happened was, had a match, stepped in a hole, literally. It was so bad, and I couldn't, I my knee swelled up right away. Wasn't wearing a
Mm.
brace or anything. My knee had been giving me some problems anyway. Uh, my final match before I ended up having surgery was with Reality Wrestling and title match for the very first late, or no, this was for the second Ladies Night Out. Um, and they had big plans for me, and that was kind of like a bite. But literally the day before, um, I I got hurt, or like the day after I had gotten hurt, I had gotten a call um, from John Laurinaitis to come up to SmackDown. They wanted to check me out, see what I had, look into potentially a full-blown tryout over at the Performance Center. And I literally had to turn it down. So I was absolutely devastated. I figured my world was done in
No.
wrestling. I was destroyed. And because of that, I gave up on wrestling. I literally did. I didn't watch it. I stopped watching it. I stopped communicating with anybody that was associated with it. I just kind of went into my own little hole, and with that gained almost 200 pounds, to be very transparent. It was about
Wow.
180 pounds. Got very much overweight. I was not happy. And I have no problem being transparent. So, like, just hope I'm not TMIing too much. But
No.
Michael Faith was he was an amazing character. He was my trainer. We later, after my training was done, we ended up in a relationship. Had my son, our son, and unfortunately, in November of 2020, I know a lot of people suffered a lot of loss during COVID. He was one of the ones that passed away from it,
Oh my
and uh, due to that, I remember my son was taking pictures with my phone when we were traveling back from the funeral. And I looked at one of the pictures that he had taken, and I was like, "Who is that?" He goes, "That's you." And it was a picture of me from his perspective. And it clicked of how big I actually got and how unhealthy I was. And now I am the only person left for this little boy's life. And I was like, I've got to
God.
change. I've got to change. And so it lit a fire under me. And I set a date. It was actually February 6th of 2021. I said, this is the start. And I started working out. I started eating better. I lost a buttload of weight. By uh, the end of 2022, I had lost over 200 pounds. So it took me almost 2 years to drop even more than what I gained. But it from the time of the injury to that point had been almost 4 years.
Wow.
So, and that's when I returned. So, like, I returned in 2022 and actually for the Sherry Martel Classic for Reality of Wrestling. So, the very first one, yeah.
You know, it was interesting what you said before the ladies' night, and I've been following all these female wrestlers that have like been on the podcast the past 3 years of this podcast, like Kobe
Hmm.
Max and Judy Hendricks and people like that. And I used to see the ladies' night posters pop up all the time. Did they slow those down or like stop doing the ladies' night shows? Because I haven't seen them.
No, they actually still do Ladies Night Out. It is more held by title match than anything else. I know they have some affiliations and things along that nature. So they'll run a Ladies Night Out match on this show. So title match is a part of like they have a working relationship with a promotion, and they'll hold a match for that. But the full blown shows, I do understand. I still watch title match even though I'm on it. I like to enjoy wrestling. I'm just as much of a fan as I am a wrestler. So I actually just saw an advertisement on titlematch.com that they are still doing. I believe it was, don't quote me, but I believe it's title match number 17, Ladies
Wow.
Night Out.
Most things they never even count. They don't even count them. They're like, oh, this is blank. Oh, this is blank. It's like, where's the number? How are we supposed to know we're watching the right show? Like,
Right.
what are we doing? Why is it doing that to me? I'm scared. Like, what number will we in? So, is there any like wrestlers that you've been watching on the scene on the Instagrams or the YouTubes or the X's that you've been wanting to have them come to your area and have you wrestle with them yet?
To wrestle against, man,
Yeah, yeah, wrestle against you that you've not wrestled yet.
I'll wrestle everybody. I want to wrestle everybody. I don't care. I don't have a, I don't scout people out going, ooh, I want to work you. Like if I see you, I'm like, let's have a match. Let's go. I, I have no qualms. I'm not judgmental. It's not going to be any, mini, miny, mo. And be like, yeah, I want to work this person. I genuinely am one of those people that I want the business better than when I found it. And that also includes working everybody. I don't want it to be nitpicked. There are so many amazing talents out there, male and female, that I would be more than happy to share the squared circle with. And whether I win or lose is irrelevant. What I care about is going out there to have fun.
Awesome. Like, when it comes to like your like training and up to a wrestling show, like, what is your training like leading up to like a show?
Uh, my training never stops. It doesn't change for a show or a performance or anything like that. Training is pretty consistent, whether I'm active or I'm not. So the biggest factor is that gym work and diet start first. I take certain supplements to protect my body. I do a beef organ supplement to keep my hormones right. A lot of people neglect your hormones, testosterone, estrogen, all of those are super important. Um, and certain, most people are low on vitamin D. Uh, you're looking at, I do joint health, obviously, at my stage, glucosamine, collagen is super beneficial. And I keep a very high protein diet. Um, and that's probably the most important thing that I do in terms of my regiments for a match. I'm less likely to ingest carbs that week because it does lead to inflammation, and you tend to look a little bit bloated on camera because that camera is not forgiving. It is
Yeah.
not forgiving at all. Um, and then gym is gym is not just a three-letter word. It is a way of life. Got to be in there pumping and grinding. And then there's training in the ring. Training on average is, it really does fluctuate week to week depending on how the body feels. Certainly don't want to overdo it, but it can be 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. Um, and it just depends on how I'm feeling that week. I'm a firm believer in rest days, so there is no special regiment that I have personally. I can guarantee you probably at least once or twice I'll be in the ring that week working on my craft and grinding, trying to make sure I'm the best physical shape and in ring shape as possible. And then I'll spend at least 4 or 5 days in the gym. So,
Awesome. So what would you say, because I'm a local podcast, I've been telling this a lot of people lately, being in your local area, where would you say would be your favorite place to get a bite to eat after a show?
so I uh uh local to where I am or local to like the show
I meant
itself?
the show. I meant the show. Like after
The
a
show?
show, where would
Okay.
you? Where would you? I always say that wrong, and I always after
It's
I say it's like
oh, it's all good.
as my friend would say on my nerd culture show. No, 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 no. Wait. You screwed up the words, Joe.
It's
Okay.
okay. All good, Joe. So, in terms of like favorite place to go after, uh, I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm getting it depends if I'm done like with if we're getting a drink afterwards or not. If it's like I can really have a cheat meal or not, that'll be the contributing factor. I'm a Taco Bell fiend, man. I
Ooh.
love Taco Bell. You can bribe me with Taco Bell. Like I could be like, no, I'm not going to the gym today. It's my rest day. It's my rest day, all right? I'm staying home. And
Shiva's
you go,
day.
it's my day. I'm gonna play a little bit of video games and that's it. And I'm not doing squat. And you go, if you go to the gym with me and you go and you do a leg day, I'll buy you Taco Bell and I'll literally get on my gym clothes. Not even playing. Not even
It's like
playing.
it's like MB. It's like the MB. It's like the TikTok finger snap. It's like gym clothes.
I'm so bad. I'm so bad. I love Taco Bell. So that's my go-to. But I mean, if there's a bar involved, I'll have a seltzer too, and get some wings or whatnot. Depending on where the action is. But if it's quick food, Taco Bell, man, that's how I roll.
Awesome. I love Taco Bell too. If you ever came to PA, I'd be like, "So you're coming to PPW, okay? What is it you like on the menu? I'll give
Number
you
two,
a number two.
number
The
two,
number two. Okay, here we
number
go. I've
two,
been asking a
Baja
lot of
Blast,
people because I get a
Baja
lot of
Blast
British
Zero. Yep,
wrestlers.
yep.
That's cool.
I know my order. I know my order.
So if I asked a few British wrestlers, a lot of them go to McDonald's after a show. But if we
Ah,
could get a Shiva like menu, like what would you have in your meal? What would your meal on the
my
if like I'll
meal.
take the Shiva, like I'll take Shiva, the Shiva meal. What would be in your meal? Like what
I'm
would
gonna
be in
disappoint you so much. I can make a menu of what I like to eat from
like a
there.
meal? Like this like a
Oh,
meal, like then you get a Big Mac and you get the French fries and stuff like that. So what would be the Shiva meal?
okay. I'm really gonna disappoint you. If it from McDonald's or you want it from Taco Bell?
Oh, Taco Bell, your favorite.
Two soft tacos.
Oh, soft tacos? But how
Yep,
many would you get in your meal? One or like a bunch?
just two soft tacos. Two
Okay.
soft tacos and a Baja Blast Zero, and probably a small will do me. I'm like a bird. I eat throughout the day, like multiple small meals. I can't eat a whole bunch in one go. Like I can make a menu. Like I can tell you what I'd love to eat. Like I could eat like cheesy gordita crunch, but like that's it. Like there's nothing else going in me. I just now, mind you, I'll eat those two soft tacos and give it 30, 40 minutes, and I'm like, I'm hungry again. But it's
Same.
one of those I have to allow my food to digest. It's part of my journey of losing the weight. And because I've always yo-yoed throughout my entire life, I've been up and down and up and down, and I always limit myself in the amount that I ingest in one sitting. So like I would love to be like, yeah, give me a cheesy gordita crunch, beefy 5-layer burrito, some nacho fries, the whole shebang, and like that's my meal. But to be honest, I'm a two soft taco, maybe a supreme if I'm feeling a little froggy that day, and Baja Blast Zero. That's it.
I had another wrestler, but he was from the UK. I had him do the meal thing, and I gave him this idea, and he ran with it. He's like, "Okay, it'll come with the number two. Remember the smaller McDonald's burgers?" And he's
Uh-huh.
like, "French fries." And we were talking about pops. He's like, "Yeah, throw in a pop of myself, and you get a pop of me." So I'm like, and then I have a pop of myself because a female fan from North Carolina, she makes pops, and I'm like, "Oh, you mean like this?"
Those are so cool. That's so cute.
It's
I love
me.
that.
He
Oh
has a
my
pop.
gosh.
Yeah, I've been popped. My parents still freak out when they come in my room. They're like, "It's so weird to see you on your desk." And I'm like, "I can't
That's
help it. It makes
so
me cry
cool.
every time I see it." And got one of my
Mm.
grandfather, Jose Quinones, the Panther, which he was a wrestler in the 50s and 60s.
Love it. Love
Yep.
it so much.
I
Love
cry when I look at
that.
that one because he's my I was my grandpa. Like he wrestled and under Vince's dad, and like
Mm-hmm.
to keep his name alive, the Panther. I just it for me it's like an honor. And my cousins all freak out. They're like, Randy, do you realize that you're saying your grandfather's name every show? But did you count it yet? And you're like, no, it's probably a lot. It's probably I either mention the Panther or say him. And I'm like, my uncle said it in like a very sweet and humbling way and made me feel almost made me tear up. Shiva. He's like, I could see in heaven every time you say his name or Panther, his wings start to flap. He's
Oh,
like, someone's my grandson's saying my name again.
oh, I love it.
Somewhere
I
behind
love
him, people are going, your wings again. Your wings, they're flapping. Um, so when like you're at the show, do you get your own like merch table or do you have to like ask the show to do those things, kind of like something like that?
So in terms of merch, I always have my merch with me. Um, uh, there's usually tables set up at the shows that I attend, and I just set up what I've got, uh, which is a wide variety or array of 8x10s, stickers, like the whole shebang. I haven't carried shirts with me in a while because it space is limited, unfortunately. But I do always keep it up on Pro Wrestling Tees where anybody can get them. But yeah, I always got the merch regardless of the show.
Awesome. So if my fans would like to follow you on social media, Shiva, how can they find you?
It's real simple. Every single platform you can think of, it's at official Shiva. That's literally it.
Awesome. If they want to buy any merch and they're not able to get to Texas and they just want to see you here and they're like, seen her on the podcast, want to buy some fun stuff from Shiva, like where can they find it?
So I on all of my platforms, I do have a link tree available. Um, if anybody would like more, I'm absolutely awful about keeping up with like uh this is now updated, this is updated. But if you guys ever want any kind of merch, want to know what's new, what's happening, um, you're more than welcome to send me a DM. I do update occasionally on social media, like, hey, I've got this available at this price. But if you want to have something shipped out, I'm more than happy to do that. I've done it for multiple individuals across the years. If you have something in particular that you are interested in, if you want like a particular custom shirt, or you were looking for, I do these really nifty little bear keychains.
Ooh,
Um, yeah, and
love keychains.
yeah, I do too. I do too. Like I'm a big stuffy person, and I actually have like I'm just gonna read. I am fascinated with bears. I have them all over the place, and yeah, little
Somebody
keychains.
made me this in Holland and I've had it since COVID.
Oh, I love that. Oh, is it? Oh,
It's
it,
Slimer.
I love it. That's so
He's an
cute.
Instagram celebrity. He's been on every one of my episodes of Ghost Head Nerd Talk. This is his debut on Dudes at Ringside. Woo! It's
Love
Baby
it.
Slimer. He's a Instagram celebrity. He has his own Instagram. He's a keychain. He's a celebrity on Insta. Baby Slimer.
As he should. As he
Yes,
should be.
he's a celebrity. He's the
But
son of the famous Slimer from Ghostbusters, so of course he would have
I
it.
mean, everything and everyone reproduces,
He's
so it's okay.
Slimer is I'm the third, he's the second. Slimer the second. So like
Oh, I love
yes.
it.
Yeah. Before we go, if there was any kids, like young teenagers, I say kids, but I'm 41. I say kids, and I work with a lot of 14-year-olds in my kitchen that I work where I work. But if there was any kids had aspirations of joining the wrestling world, like you have, what kind of advice would you have for them?
So I can tell you right now that everyone else will say the traditional shut up and listen, keep your ego at the door, those sorts of things. I would honestly recommend that people are going to love and support you when it benefits them. Um, Nicki Minaj actually says that. But to remember that at the end of the day, you've got to stay true to yourself, be a good person, be a good human being. Um, Even if you're a face or a heel, you've got to put yourself out there. You still got to do the work, but good things come to good people. And it takes time, it takes effort, but if you're willing to put in that effort, have many nights of long drives and sleepless nights and get to a venue, go out, wrestle, put your body on the line, and you really want this, then more power to you. And I wholeheartedly support that. Just remember where you came from. Just don't fall into the crowds. Don't worry about the hypes. Just be true to you, and the rest will come.
Awesome, Sheeva. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Definitely if you can, please tell your wrestling friends about Dudes at Ringside and
Absolutely.
all the fun stuff we had much fun we had here on the pod. So Sheeva, thank you so much. I'm Joe Panther the Third,
And I am Sheeva.
and we will catch you in the next one.